Hello everyone, it's me again. Today I will review the movie How to Train Your Dragon 1. The chief Viking tribe lived on the North Island where they fished and hunted. It is the most ideal place to watch the sunset, and most especially there is the tradition of dragon killing. Dragons often come here to steal food and cause trouble. If it were another clan, it would have left. Who are Vikings? They are very strong and stubborn. This boy is the son of the patriarch with the name Hiccup, which means hiding dead ends. Bad names are easy to raise. Contrary to his strong and talented father, he is only short and skinny, so instead of training to become a brave warrior, he was sent to learn weaponsmithing with old Gobber. He had a prosthetic leg and arm, but was very good at casting weapons, and was afraid that Hiccup would become toothpicks for the family. He was like many other Vikings, always wanting to go to war. Outside, there's the fat boy, the chubby twins, especially girl A, who is so good with her hands that she can't even throw a stone. But he designed his own weapon. As soon as he touched it, he shot the customer in the face. Typical of playing anything stupid, only playing stupid is good. Gobber was afraid Hiccup would cause trouble again, so he forced him to sharpen his sword. Here, getting recognized or having a girlfriend depends on what kind of dragon you kill, so the strongest people always target the Nightmare, a monstrous species that likes to jump into fire. There is also a species called Night Fury, a dragon that does not steal, has never appeared, but has the most accurate shots. It is he who hides and wants to kill to gain merit. Night Fury appeared again. Gobber also went to help everyone, not forgetting to constantly tell him to stay still. But soon Hiccup pushed his homemade shooting machine up the hill. Up there it was pitch black. He turned his sights everywhere until an explosion flashed the dragon's shadow. Hiccup immediately shot. The force was quite strong, causing him to fall to the ground. A scream rang out and it fell into the nearby forest. But there's nothing beyond the night stream. Behind, who else sees this scene? It immediately attacked him. Stoic below saw the evil dragon chasing his son on the roof and rushed to save him. On this side, Hiccup panicked and hid behind a dead tree to avoid a deadly fire blow, but the treacherous dragon suddenly attacked from the opposite side, continuously punching back and forth until it flew away. Hiccup was just about to tell his father that he had killed his dragon when the pillar collapsed, causing the fire pan above to roll down to the village. He was angry and didn't even listen to what he had to say and just dragged him away. Stoic told his son that he only knew disaster. He just needed to do nothing and help the whole village. Then he handed him over to Gobber, hid, and returned home amid everyone's laughter. On this side, the whole clan is discussing how to destroy the lair of the dragons, forcing them to leave somewhere else. Wait for everyone to disperse, then rush to ask Gobber to take care of Hiccup while he is not here. Gobber said let the boy be trained. After all, they can't protect him forever, but he was currently wandering in the forest. He followed the location he judged to find the dragon he shot down, but could not find it. Hiccup was so frustrated that he felt sick and hit a tree branch and was hit in the face by the branch. When he looked again, he discovered that the tree trunk was broken and slid on the ground. When he followed, he discovered that the Night Fury was stuck like a log. He came closer and wanted to finish it off, but looking into those clear blue eyes, he still couldn't do it. Hiccup had to cut the rope binding it. The free dragon immediately rushed towards him. When their four eyes looked at each other, he hid, thinking he was going to die. Unexpectedly, it just screamed at him and flew away. He suddenly stood up, his legs shaking, and then passed out. It was late at night when Hiccup returned home. Just as he gave up on killing dragons, his father informed him that he would be allowed to participate in training. No matter what reason he used, he didn't care. He even gave his son the hammer, hoping he could take care of the whole clan, because he wasn't sure he could return. The next morning he also came to participate in training with everyone, but of course he was laughed at. Gobber introduced each dragon, and then released one fat as a green worm. As soon as it came out, it crashed into the wall and fell down. Everyone quickly went to get their shields. Hiccup couldn't even lift them. While the two twins were fighting each other, they were lured by a fat dragon. The whole team continuously waved their shields, making loud noises that made him blush. The fat boy was still confused about the theory. His shield was burned by it and was immediately eliminated. Hiccup was worried that if he came out he would be shot. Too busy to worry about anything. She dodged away, causing him to take the shot. Now there was only her and Hiccup in the yard. It shot and dropped, causing him to worry about chasing after her and finally being forced against the wall. Just when Hiccup was about to become his breakfast, Gobber used a hook to pull the fat dragon out and locked it up. He said the nature of dragons is to kill.
To find the answer, he went back to the forest. Hiccup went deep inside and saw some black scales. At this moment, a giant shadow passed by, making him howl. It was Night Fury, trying to fly up but falling every time. It angrily spat out a mouthful of purple fire. Hiccup secretly drew the dragon's shape, so he discovered that it was missing part of its tail fin. He couldn't fly. He couldn't even put his head down to catch fish. He looked very pitiful then. That night, after returning home, Hiccup realized his fate and brought his meal to another table. Gobber gave everyone a book about dragons, but no one bothered to read it. Only Hiccup looked through the lamp in the middle of the night. There were dragons that make killing sounds, dragons that spit boiling water, dragons that spit acid, and below each species were dangerous dragons that kill each other. The last page was the Night Fury dragon. Without specific documentation, they called it the evil descendant of lightning and death, an extremely dangerous species. The next day during training, Hiccup repeatedly asked Gobber about the Night Fury species. A spark of fire flew, and the multicolored Nada dragon, like a chameleon, rushed towards him. It continuously jumped and chased above, like a hedgehog, launching spikes on its tail towards the fat boy. Then he bumped into the twins again. They worried about arguing and left him breathing fire. Hiccup still leisurely asked about Night Fury. Astrid told him to sit down quietly. She and Snotlout gently rolled to the other side, but Hiccup's turn only rolled half a turn before it was discovered and chased after everyone. Snotlout, wanting to please Astrid, showed off his hammer-throwing performance, making the Nada even angrier, spitting fire, causing the entire maze to collapse. Astrid quickly jumped over the wooden pillars and fell on Hiccup. Her hammer stuck to his shield, and the dragon was rushing forward. She very decisively stood up, placing both hammer and shield on the Nada to complete the task. Astrid was angry at Hiccup, pulling everyone's feet, so she blamed him. After practice, Hiccup brought a shield and a big fish to find Night Fury. He was so clumsy that his shield got stuck on the rock. Hiccup gently went inside, not expecting Night Fury to be hiding behind him. He went down step by step. Hiccup tried to stop himself from giving the fish in fear. Night Fury discovered that he had a knife, so he bared his teeth in defense. Hiccup immediately threw the knife away. It was finally approaching. Looking at the red tip without any teeth, he decided to call it Toothless. Who would have thought that a row of even teeth would appear? It swallowed a fish, then it went next to Hiccup, burped out half the fish, and gave it to him. He didn't dare to refuse, so he took a painful bite, then smiled at it, and Toothless smiled back. But when Hiccup reached out to touch him, Toothless refused to let him, so he flew away to find a place to blow fire, to warm the ground and lay down to sleep. When he saw Hiccup sitting nearby, he took a bamboo wing to prevent him from seeing it, then arrogantly walked away and hung it upside down on the tree. When he woke up, he saw Hiccup sitting and drawing a picture of himself. Toothless also brought a tree and started drawing randomly on the ground. Hiccup stood up and accidentally stepped on its drawing, causing him to growl. He understood and tried to avoid touching it. After walking through the drawing, he arrived in front of it. Hiccup reached out to touch him, but he still refused, so he turned away and just held out his hand. This time, Night Fury proactively touched Hiccup's hand with his nose. From that moment on, the two became good friends. That night, while eating with everyone, he heard Uncle Gobber say, "A dragon that cannot fly is a dead dragon." Hiccup then left first. He went to the smithy and started making a tail wing for Toothless. Hiccup created a long shaft, took the screws in the shield and forged them into a new screw, took a few more iron balls, and finally reassembled them into half a leather wing. The next day, he brought a large basket of fish and took it down, discovering that it was afraid of eels. Then, while it was enjoying a sumptuous feast, Hiccup attached the device to its tail. It kept shaking, so he had to sit up to steady it. Now that the fish were gone, Toothless realized that Hiccup was playing with his tail, and so he flew away. This caused Hiccup to scream in fright. The wing that Hiccup made did not spread out, so Toothless lost balance and was about to fall. Hiccup quickly used his hand to open the wing and fly away. He quickly used it a few times. Then the dragon took advantage and threw Hiccup into the lake. Without him, its wings could not spread, so it soon suffered the same fate. The next day, the whole team trained with the two-headed dragon, an extremely cunning and dangerous animal. The 6 people divided into 3 teams, joking around and teasing the 2 girls who had been punched. A moment later, a long snake-like head emerged from the smoke. The fat boy splashed oil on it, but it was ineffective because he got the wrong type. He was sprayed with gas all over his body. In turn, Hiccup threw it too hard, almost smelling it. But scarier than that, just a few seconds later, Hiccup was able to push it back into the cage. Everyone was surprised and gasped, not knowing that he had actually used the eel to scare it. Hiccup didn't want to show off. He just wanted to have time to focus on designing wings for Toothless.
This time Hiccup made an extra seat cushion. He sat on Night Fury's back and pulled the wing, both learning the way. When he got home, Hiccup added a fixed wire. Could have flown higher, but still had a bit of a tight shaft, so it crashed into the grassland. Hiccup discovered another thing, that he loves rolling grass. He picked a handful, and the next day when the worm was released again, instead of running away, Hiccup threw grass at its face. The dragon then rolled out obediently. This gradually makes people change their view of him, but Hiccup just wanted to run away. Today he discovered that he really likes having his head scratched. The
The next day, Hiccup applied it again with the nada and hammer lines. People liked him. They took the initiative to sit at the dinner table with him. Only Astrid seemed to be displeased. Then Hiccup discovered that they liked to chase light spots. The next day, when the little tiger was released, he immediately looked down on him and bit his nose. Luckily, Hiccup used reflected light to lure it away. Astrid becomes increasingly unable to swallow her anger. She stopped practicing flying hammers. At this moment, she saw the speckled Hiccup passing by. She chased after him, but lost sight of him. Today, he installed a pedal in the saddle to adjust the tail spread mode. Hiccup tied Toothless to the tree to test, and then drew again. That night, he took Night Fury back to the village to repair the saddle. Luckily, the two were able to escape before Astrid discovered them. The next day, the chief's army returned disappointed. They did not find the dragon's lair, but in return, he received news that his son had accomplished something, becoming a youth idol in the village. Hiccup was still moving toothless and struggling. The two rushed down from the mountain top to the sea, gently working together to cross the ravine, even though he accidentally hit the cliff with his shoulder twice. Thanks to the drawing, they now had mastered the wind, but unfortunately, it flew away. Hiccup reached out to grab it and suddenly fell out of the saddle. The two rushed straight down. Hiccup tried to climb onto the saddle, but without the map, he didn't know how to control it. One person, one dragon, continued to face the cliff. Luckily, Hiccup grabbed the drawing in time to control the dragon, but facing the two now was a group of small, narrow ravines. They concentrated and coordinated with Toothless to successfully fly over the rocky crevices. Both were extremely exhilarated. Night Fury burst into flames, celebrating, making Hiccup's face turn black. They sat by the sea, eating fish together. The small dragons above tried to steal the fish from Toothless. Before he could open his mouth and spray fire, it sprayed a small spark of fire. The little dragon rushed past Hiccup, and after being fed by him, immediately approached and pounced on him like a small cat. Hiccup realized that people misunderstood dragons. He increasingly did not want to kill dragons. At this time, his father waited in the room. He praised him very much, and also gave his son a buffalo horn helmet made from his mother's armor. But these things now no longer bring joy to Hiccup. The next day, the group fought against the Gronkle. Astrid was sure of victory and rushed out with her hammer. Seeing it lying still at his feet, Hiccup, she was extremely angry and came to question him. In the end, the village chief chose Hiccup as the honorary person to slay the first dragon tomorrow. He pretended to be happy, then packed his bags and ran away with Toothless. Unexpectedly, Astrid was already waiting on the rock. She suspected Hiccup was doing something shady. He tried to stop Astrid, so she beat him. At this moment, Toothless appeared, making her extremely scared, pushing Hiccup away. Now wanting to kill the Night Fury, Hiccup quickly stopped her, trying to reconcile the two sides. Astrid wanted to go home and inform the villagers. Toothless then took her and placed her on the top of a tree. He asked her to give him a chance to explain. Finally, out of fear, Astrid agreed. Toothless hated her, so he flew up very high and then continuously plunged into the sea, continuing to spin in the air. The roller coaster experience made Astrid scared, closing her eyes tightly and apologizing. Finally, his anger subsided, and he gently strolled among the beautiful afternoon clouds. She raised her hand to touch the clouds. They flew in the night sky with the wonderful aurora. Astrid was smitten by this romance. She hugged Hiccup and began to feel like her teeth were falling. At this moment, Toothless suddenly flew low. Next to it also appeared other dragons, all of them carrying prey flying in the same direction. They flew over the ravine endlessly, arriving at a dark cave glowing with red light. It turned out that this was the dragon's lair. They all threw their prey into the pit. The crispy-necked dragon only found a small fish. Then a huge mouth rose up from below to swallow it. That was the Dragon King. It also caught Toothless, so they all quickly rushed away before it bit them in the stomach. Astrid wanted to inform the clan, but he was worried that they would damage Toothless. She was persuaded by him, so she promised to keep it a secret, punched him once, and gave Hiccup a kiss. The next morning, everyone gathered in the arena. After giving a quick speech proud of his son, before the door could open, the nightmare dragon breathed fire and exploded. It arrogantly flew up to scare the audience a few times before facing Hiccup. Everyone thought a war was breaking out. Unexpectedly, Hiccup dropped his weapon. He convinced it that he would not harm the dragon.
When he was about to touch it, his father shouted excitedly, and the nightmare dragon startled him. It breathed fire and chased Hiccup throughout the arena. At the same time, Toothless in the forest sensed that his friend was in danger, tried to climb the cliff while running and flying to the village. On this side, Astrid quickly ran in to save Hiccup. She threw a hammer at the nightmare dragon to attract its attention. Stoik had also arrived. He protected Astrid. The nightmare dragon rushed forward and crushed Hiccup under his feet. Suddenly a hissing sound rang out. Toothless shot down and sprayed huge fire that melted the iron bar. Flying in, it bit the nightmare's neck to protect Hiccup. It knew it couldn't defeat the Night Fury, so it ran away. But at this time, the villagers also came and surrounded him. His father rushed in and was pinned to the ground. Hiccup stopped Toothless and was finally caught by the villagers. Stoik was very angry with his son. No matter how convincingly he explained, he did not listen. While talking, Hiccup accidentally talked about Dragon Island. He quickly formed a team to go there, even though his son tried his best to stop him. A series of ships and weapons were prepared. They brought their Toothless to guide the way. Hiccup helplessly watched the fleet leave, blaming himself for bringing trouble to everyone. But Astrid consoled him that he was also the first person to ride on a dragon's back. This lifted Hiccup's spirit. He went to the arena to release all the dragons, and then taught the team to train them. At the same time, his father's fleet entered the fog. They saw tattered ships hanging on the cliffs like trophies. Finally, they all landed at a rocky mountain. They worked to make traps, set up catapults, and a series of rocks were shot inside to create an entrance. Stoic stood in front of the dark cave entrance, waiting for their teammates to shoot a fire bullet. Everyone was horrified to see that the cave was full of dragons. All the weapons rushed in, but the dragons did not intend to attack them, but immediately flew away. Winning has never been so easy. Everyone shouted loudly, but at this time, the mountains and rocks collapsed. A giant head came out and quickly frightened everyone. They shot rocks at it, but to no avail. In contrast, the Dragon King, just one mouthful of fire, killed dozens of people, burned a series of ships. Stoic and Gobber decided to stay and help everyone. Now both are facing death. Then from the sky, a fire sprayed at it, and it was Hiccup's group riding on dragons. They all took the opportunity to discuss strategy, while the Fat Boy analyzed the Dragon Queen's characteristics. Hiccup followed that regiment to attack piecemeal. The two twins attracted its attention. Hiccup went to where Toothless was. On this side, the Fat Boy brandished his shield a bit loudly. The enemy army was okay, but our army was already dizzy. The Nightmare Dragon quickly lifted its head and rushed to the Dragon King's head. The Fat Boy only had time to hand the hammer back to his friend, and then he and John rushed to the ground, pinned down by the Fat Dragon. From above, he took a hammer and hit it in the eye. Astrid flew by and complimented him, and he was distracted and lost his hammer. On this side, Hiccup couldn't remove the chain from his neck and free Toothless. Following the dragon's tail swing, both of them fell into the sea. Hiccup tried to unchain it until his father confronted him and brought him to shore. Stoic jumped down and untied Toothless. It carried him up. At this time, Stoic was very regretful and apologized to him and his son. Hiccup flew up on the dragon, and they came to catch the Dragon King. But Astrid's side couldn't run in time, and it sucked her into his mouth. At this time, Toothless was able to spit fire into its mouth. Then he picked her up and dropped her on the ground. He saw the winged Dragon Queen. Hiccup flew out, telling Toothless to spit fire to provoke it into chasing him. Then he flew around again, luring the dragon into the cliffs, then flew straight up into the sky. After flying high into the dark clouds, it could not see where Toothless was. On the contrary, the two escaped and then breathed fire into its wings. The angry Dragon King blew fire into the sky. The fire caught the leathery wing of Toothless. At this point, the two couldn't hide, so they lured it to fly down, nearly getting sucked into its stomach several times. Waiting for the opportunity to come, he lowered Toothless and turned around, spitting fire into the Dragon King's mouth, causing its wings to burn. The Dragon King plunged down the rocky mountain to die. Toothless tried to fly out of the fire, but the fake wing was torn, causing Hiccup to fall off the dragon's tail. Falling into the sea of fire, Toothless immediately rushed down with him. When Stoic rushed to the boy, he only saw Toothless lying still on the ground. There was no saddle, and his tail was injured. He fell to his knees in despair, and Astrid and the villagers were also extremely heartbroken. Unexpectedly, Toothless opened his wings, and inside was Hiccup. Everyone happily cheered and brought them both back to the village for treatment. Toothless stood by Hiccup's bed, finally waiting for him to wake up, then happily rubbed his face against Hiccup like a little cat. He wanted to go out, only to discover that he had lost a leg, replaced by a prosthetic leg. Hiccup stood up and took each difficult step. Toothless helped him out. Outside the village, there were dragons everywhere, making him think he was dead.
At this time, his father told him that thanks to him, the Viking clan had decided to learn how to live with dragons. Astrid also approached, hit him once, then gave him a kiss in front of everyone. Gobber brought Hiccup a new controller. Toothless jumped out excitedly. A human and a dragon both lost a body part, but they just barely compensated for each other. Hiccup rode Toothless with his friends and flew all over the North Island. From now on, their lives were no longer about killing. On the contrary, there was only peace and happiness. The movie ends here. Sometimes, giving others a chance is also giving yourself a chance. Killing never brings peace. Only by learning to listen with sincere feelings can peace be built. If you find the movie good, please give me a like along with a comment about this movie. Especially, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. Now, goodbye and see you again in the next recap.